Hi, I'm Paul, and in these videos I'm going to try to share information to help you go faster in sim racing. Today we're going to be talking about the racing line and the positioning of the car, and hopefully sharing some tips on how to approach different corners. So let's start with the fundamentals. What is the racing line? Say we've got this corner here, what is the best way to go through it? By drawing an arc on the corner, we can see the rough racing line that is the optimum way to go through this corner. And how we look at this is by breaking it into different sections. So you've got turn in, the apex, and then the exit. This is the simplest way to visualize what we're going to be talking about today when it comes to racing line. But before we talk more about the racing line, we need to start by talking about the positioning of the car on the entry and the exit. So if you can see here, we've got the car in the middle of the track on entry, and it's clear this car, because it's starting in the middle of the track, would run out of track on the exit, either needed to get off the power or having to run wide. So it's really important the car is as far out to the side of the track before it actually starts to turn in. Similarly, on the exit of the corner, we want the car to be right out to the side of the track on exit. So even if you get your turning point correct, but you're exiting in the middle of the track, you won't be carrying as much speed as you could if you exited all the way out to the side, and therefore you're exiting the corner slower. So if we now look at this in action in a real corner, you'll see the car went from the widest point on the entry through the apex and into the exit. Now some people might be wondering about using the racing line in iRacing or other games. Now if it's the first time you're learning a track, or if you actually are new to sim racing generally, there is no harm in using a racing line, but it may bring bad habits. So as you just saw there, it was telling me to brake way earlier than I actually needed to. And then equally, sometimes what you'll find is it'll actually go a wider arc or a narrower arc than actually what is optimum. So just following the racing line might not actually be the quickest way around the track. It might also make you brake sooner than you need to. And my suggestion would just be, if you can learn how to spot the racing line and drive the racing line without it, that would be my recommendation. So here's the corner that we saw from overhead earlier, and again on the outside through the apex and then exiting on the outside. Now these corners coming out after are a bit more tricky. I'm having to go really shallow into the first corner so that I can get a better line out. So we've covered the basics of just a normal racing line. But what about a double apex racing line? So if we look at this corner here, what is the correct line going through this corner? Now there is a bit of a clue, because if you look on the track you can see the amount of rubber that has been laid down by other cars. We're not going all the way out to the outside of the corner in the middle. What we're doing is we're connecting the two apexes, the first apex and the second apex, and actually pushing wide out in the middle of the corner so that we can get a really good exit. So if I was to ask you to look at this corner, what do you think the racing line would be? Are you thinking wide entry, wide exit? Because actually you'd be wrong. When we zoom out, we actually see that this corner is followed very quickly by another corner that goes onto a straight. And so the key thing with the racing line is that you've got to always be thinking what is coming after the corner I'm going into. Now, we don't really care about a lot of exit speed on the first corner. All we really care about is setting our car up for the second corner to get the good exit. And so if we now look at the car coming through this section, you'll notice that it started wide on the entry, but the apex is actually going shallow for the exit. And the reason for this is so that the corner coming after can be taken with more speed. Now again, the clue is on the track. Look at the rubber that has been laid down. The rubber was not going all the way wide to the exit of the last corner, and therefore it's usually a sign that that isn't the correct line. What we're trying to maximize is the exit as fast as possible out this corner to get onto the straight. So the key thing with any racing line is focusing on what is coming after. Now just looking at this in isolation, it might not be clear that we've got a really long straight after that section. So we actually don't care as much about the entry speed on the first corner. What we really need to focus on is maximizing the exit speed so that we can actually carry that all the way down that long straight. Any speed that you can carry out of the corner is additional speed that you'll be carrying the whole way down that straight, and that will be where you're making up your lap time. going on board, you can see that I've braked, turned quite early into the corner, and now I'm just trying to maximize my exit speed. All of this long straight after, I'm just carrying additional speed all the way down and gaining time. Mastering the racing line is one of the fundamental things that you need to do to be able to drive fast around the track. Keep practicing, think about your car positioning, think about the connecting corners or the straights coming after the corner that you're going into, and see the times drop as you actually master the corners one by one. Thanks everybody, I hope this has been useful. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be sharing more tips in the following Tuesdays. So subscribe, like the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.